start with the kind of jobs that's available to students for the job search permit.
It was my last day at VTD, and I've done distributing everything. I was freezing, but no, you can't stop. And at the end of the month, you're going to get like 10,000 crowns. But when you work for a very bad newspaper distribution company, that one is like modern day slavery.
This is the truth. Those who think that they can come to Sweden, borrow some money, and then they can work.
You have to aim high. The easy things that can help you stay. But these are the things that make you sell your dream. If you're in a field that is not STEM related.
Right now, the current situation in Sweden is making me a bit sad. So we are here with Joseph Siao, who has been through it, did it, done that. He's now pursuing his PhD in US to talk a little bit about what the situation here is in Sweden and how you can strategize to make it to things around.
So I've been up to PhDs. I came here in August, mid-August. I started my PhD, and then there's a lot of work, right? I guess you like me. I'm going to do this for 5 years.
Yes.
Yes. There's a lot of work, a lot of reading. But the good part is that it's a better life compared to the life I was living before, right? And it's at least, it's one of the two things I wanted, right? I wanted a very good job. I wanted to do my PhD. So it's in line with where I want to be in the long run. It's fun, and then it's just tough, but it's...
Congratulations. You also got married in August.
Thank
So
you.
now we have May Queen, we have Jeff, and some people that came in and they just dropped out. I know it's Africa internet, I know, but it shall be well. So my first question, anyone who has questions, you can drop it in the chats and would have the opportunity. If you get a question, please write it so you don't forget inside the chat. So I would like to start with the kind of jobs that's available to students when they are in Sweden.
Okay. I think that the situation even goes beyond Sweden. It's also the same things everywhere else, right? And we are looking at either you are working in the warehouse, you are distributing newspapers, you are doing food delivery, and you are cleaning also. That's one of the... So if one of these 4 things, right? So the work would be anything that has to do with manufacturing or storage. And then, there's one more. Either you're working as a waitress at a restaurant, or you're a cook, or you are washing dishes, things like that. So these are 5 different areas that students mostly work in Sweden. And like when I've been to other places in Europe, have some friends, and then they were doing the same things over there. Yeah. So if someone says, I want to go and work and study, this is what the work means. This is like one of these 5 categories is where you definitely gonna follow.
Wow. So which one did you try?
The only one I didn't.
You didn't?
As a matter of fact, I did all of them.
Wow.
The only one I did in a different way was the restaurant or cooking thing, right? So the last job I did in Europe was in the Netherlands. Right. I was working in Albert Heijn, in like Willis or Walmart or Sprite or Cooltrack. I was in it. I was like I've done everything. I've done warehouse, newspaper distribution, food delivery. I've done it all.
Okay. What is the pay? Well, we take one after the other. Yeah, just take it one after the other.
If you're working in a warehouse, you should be expecting something between 130 to 160 Swedish crowns, depending on the company, 130 Swedish crowns. So that would probably be like an hour if you want to talk about US dollars, right? If you're working...
This is good.
It's okay. It's good money. It's the same. It's what you get in working in this type of... It's not good as compared to what other people make. And when you compare it to the median work in Sweden, right? People doing very good jobs, the accounts they earn. The money is good when you send it back home. You can do a lot of things. So it's good it was good before, but now inflation is on the high. And then I remember like sometimes I go to Willis, and then everything is, you go to Willis, you just buy 3 or 4 things and it's 500 crowns, right?
Yeah.
So it's not good anymore. It's 130 to 160 crowns an hour.
Work how many hours in a day?
If you're studying, realistically, you can work like in the whole week, like 20 hours, right? If, for example, if you are doing food delivery, then you can do 3 hours of food delivery, you come back home. And during the weekends, you can do maybe 6, 7, 8 hours, right? But everything put together, if you are really taking your study seriously, then it's very difficult to work more than 20 hours a day. But after graduation, I was working full time. So 9 hours a day, but 1 hour break and you work 8.
That's like 1,000 crores a day.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the month, if you're working full time, at the end of the month, you're going to get like 10,000 crowns. 10,000 crowns is like $1,900, right? $1,900. So
Good. Is it good?
it depends on your definition of good, right? Initially, as I said, before inflation, it was good money, right? It's it got bad, but it was also quite okay, right? You can still manage. You'll be able to send some home and do all those kind of things. But like I said, the definition of good really depends on what you want, what you really want. I was always telling my friends, like, we're working in a warehouse, and then you have some of the workers working in the office just above us. They just sit on the computer typing, going to coffee breaks anytime they want. And they are paid like maybe at least 50% more than what I'm being paid. But I'm really doing the hard work on the ground, the hard work. So for me, the definition of good is not earning 20,000 crowns, standing on my feet for 9 hours a day. But for someone who thinks this is my dream job, maybe it's good for them.
Because maybe in their country, they might not get that amount of money.
Yeah, exactly. And then you also feel like in maybe this 20,000 crowns a month can help you reach your goals in life. In that sense, then it is good for you, right? But for me, I was thinking that, like, how I can't leave. I can't, like, you're gonna get married at a point, you're gonna have kids, and you had all those big dreams. There's money, you don't take you anywhere, right? One trick about the system is sometimes you can take a car on high purchase and pay it little by little. So you think that, no, it's good. You can still take this and pay it in pieces, but it's still debt. Like, it's not your money. You owe a lot of money in debt and things like that. Good is relative, I would say.
Right. So here is a bit more relaxed. If you don't take care, you'll be in so much debt. Until you lose your job, you still will be fine.
Exactly, right. Like, you owe so much, but you get to pay it little by little every month. So you don't feel like you owe. Life happens, and then if something happens to you, you're gonna do it. And like, we all, because of the system, we all have something we pay on credit. But if you have a very good salary, then it means you don't owe much. You don't owe much to the system, right?
But how do you, okay, this is warehouse. How does it compare the distribution of the newspapers and also the cleaning? Is it the same amount of pay for those places too?
Warehouse pays better than newspaper people, right? And even food delivery pays better. Like Foodora pays better. Foodora pays better than VTD. I did Foodora and VTD in the summer of 2021, and I was paying you more than VTD. Even with also depending on the company.
I think the VTD. What is VTD? The
It means distribution, so a newspaper distribution.
okay.
And yeah, like like you are earning 130, 140 crowns per hour, right? But when you work for a very bad newspaper distribution company like Stevensk, you like to reclaim, then that one is like modern day slavery. Like you really don't get anything good from them, right? So it depends. But warehouse pays better than newspaper. Food delivery pays better than newspaper. Warehouse pays better than food delivery. The restaurants are on the same level with the warehouse or food delivery, washing dishes or doing waitressing.
So how did you balance all these things, like school?
Okay.
I really want to, before I go there, I want you to picture how it is to be distributing newspapers in a cold weather. Because no, you are distributing newspapers, it's like everybody knows what it is. But when it comes to the different weather, it adds some more complexity to it. And I just wanted to.
Yeah. So in the winter, so when I came to Sweden on 18th September, 1 month later, I started working with Sylvester Direct Reclam, right?
Wow.
Doing newspaper distribution. I didn't have to do it. I had an SI scholarship, paid 10,000 crowns per hour. I didn't have to do it, right? But I thought one day I might need a Swedish reference, so let me do it to get a reference. But I don't think it was worth it. Sylvester Direct Reclam was paying me like 80 per district, and it took me like 1 hour, 30 minutes at least to do one district. Like, they were paying me 60 crowns per hour also. It was crazy. I shouldn't have done it, but I was doing it anyway. And then it went into the winter. These guys didn't give us winter gloves. I remember it was snowing. So we do it on weekends. That 7th US Reclam is only on weekends. So I was doing it on only Saturdays, right? And then it was earning me 1,500 crowns. It's between 1,200 crowns to 1,500 crowns every month. Right? It wasn't money. It was something I could use for something, but it wasn't money I really needed, right?
Yeah.
And during the winter, these guys didn't give us gloves. I bought my own gloves. When you work in the cold distributing newspapers, over time, over 1 or 2 hours, the cold gets to your winter gloves, right? The winter gloves also becomes subdued and it bows down to cold, and like your hands resist. So I remember vividly Jan Toriet, close to Prince Gatland. That was my district, right? Jan Toriet to Prince Gatland and all that area was my district, distributing the papers. Your hands would freeze, like you're in pain. You go into one of the apartments, you take off the gloves, you do something like this, and then they have this element that they head outside the apartment, inside the building, right? So you put your hands on the element for sense for it to go out. Then you continue, right, until you are done. Until you are done. I thought it was hard, but I think I had a similar experience with BTD. I think my last day at BTD, I almost cried.
Oh.
I've forgotten, I think it was somewhere getting close to winter getting close to the winter of 2021, right? It was my last day at VTD, and then I was driving my bicycle. I've done distributing everything. I'm driving the bicycle from the district to the office, and like I was freezing, but no, you can't stop. And but if you stop, right, it won't solve your problem, right? So you want to get to the office quickly, and so yeah, it's hard. It's hard, but when you're working at the warehouse, at least you're gonna walk through the cold. You take the bus when you get to the office, the whole warehouse, so you don't feel those scared. But food delivery in the winter, you're gonna really feel the cold. All the jobs, it's hard during the winter. I didn't do food delivery in the winter, so I wanted to start. But the day they asked me to come for a test ride, I fell with a bicycle in the snow, and then I had these scratches on my hand. I tore my gloves and things like that. So I told them that I'm not doing the job again. And then I waited till March when the snow was over.
Sorry.
Oh yeah.
But would you tried? Because if you didn't try, how will you tell us the story?
Yeah. So that is the condition. We can also talk about, like I said, how the balance. How do I balance it? So my first job, Sevens Direct Reclaim, was only on Saturdays. So they didn't conflict with studies. Even though I think that I shouldn't have done it, I should have used that time to rest and even study more. When I started Fedora, it was during school time. So after classes, I'm studying a bit. I go and do 3 hours or 4 hours. I'll come back tired, you read a little bit, you sleep, you wake up, you study, you go to class. Doing that. It was during the summer that I combined both food delivery and newspaper with VTD, right? And then, so that was no problem at all. But during my semester, I was doing a full internship with a research institute at the University of Gothenburg. And that one was hard because at that time I was working full-time also with Jolly Room. It's a warehouse. So I was doing night shift at Jolly Room. I was doing evening shift at Jolly Room. So I go to the office at 8 o'clock to 3 p.m. as a research. I move straight to the warehouse and I do 4 p.m. to 12 midnight at the warehouse. I get home at 1:30 a.m., sleep for 5 hours, prepare my food and do everything, and then do the same thing. And on Saturdays and on Sundays, I do newspaper distribution with VTD also. I was in my internship and 2 other jobs, but one was a weekend job. The internship, you just go to the office and then you work. And even though I was writing literature reviews for some of the researchers, so even when you come home, you have to do something. But I was doing everything, and I go and do evening to the night at the warehouse during the weekends. I don't know what I needed money for, but I was just working easily.
Is it like you are too hardworking and you don't want to be idle? What is the reason why you tried all these things?
So the reason why I got you, like I started like newspaper distribution right after 1 month was I wanted recommendation for better, right? So that if they say, okay, have you worked with a Swedish company before? Provide, let's say, a reference, that I can do that. But going forward, I was driven by money also because I liked the money that I was getting. You get 10,000 Swedish crowns from the Swedish Institute, and then you get 9,000 crowns from Fedora. So you get 19, right? I was driven by money at the point. And I thought, let me do this so that I can have an experience of how it is to travel abroad without a scholarship and have to do, because the cleaning that I did cleaning at Gautier Towers. Again, I did, okay, so the cleaning, we were supposed to do cleaning for 3 days. There was this transfer that they were doing, and then we cleaned the whole night and clean it.
You have to explain to me what cleaning means, but you finish your statement.
Yeah, I did the cleaning because I wanted to know how it is. Cleaning, for instance, I just wanted to know how. For Fedora, that was a job I wanted to do as a student. But I combined BTD during the summer because it's summer, right? So I want to make more money. And then after the summer, they said, we have a Sunday shift for you at BTD. And I didn't know which of them to drop, right? I dropped Fedora, and then Jolly Roll gave me a full time. So sometimes you get more than one job and you don't know which one to drop, and then you just put them together and you just do it. Yeah. And then
You really live life.
it's not easy. Like, I'm advising to take it easy. Like, don't be driven by money, because it can affect your grades.
Oh my God. Okay. Explain to me what the cleaning is. I'm not sure. I've never done it before. And I want to know what it means. If you say you're cleaning the Gautier Terrace, what is it?
Cleaning, what we were doing was that when we get there, and then it's a hotel. Gautier Tower is a hotel, but they have this big floor that they do an event called Sylvester Mesa, right? So Sylvester Mesa is like a trade fair, but all that they are drinking is beer, wine, and those kind of things, right? Whilst people at the event, drinking, partying, and all those kind of things. Because they are drinking a lot, we will be going through the lanes with a bin and taking out the trash, putting new plastic bags. But by the time you come back, the trash is full again. Then you take it out, then taking out the trash. Someone spills some beer on the floor. You mob it, we sweep and everything. So after the event, they leave at 12, but our shift is from 9 to 4 midnight or so. So after they leave, then now we have to come to do the proper cleaning, to sweep the whole place, use the and then change the bins, clean around. But some people were also asked to clean the toilets, right? So some people will be cleaning the toilets, the urinals and everything, making sure that the place is nice. And there are some people designated to the hotel itself to do the housekeeping, changing the bed sheets at the hotel, cleaning the toilets at the hotel and things like that. Yeah. But I was at the event girl. So.
Okay. So the thing is, it was just a 3 days thing. It's like a 3 days gig or...
Yeah, I went. So what happened was that on the second day, the assistant boss came to me that boss really likes you, right? Like you work so hard, so my boss wants to keep you. Like we want to call you to come in to do more jobs. I was saying in my head, man, you have no idea what my dreams are. I don't like it. And so after the 3 days, they called me that cleaning, and I said I won't go. And then there was this Ghanaian guy. He moved to Canada, and then he called me, and then they said we should come. I said I wanted to test how cleaning is. I'm done. And then they went there, and he called me at the company again that they said, man, I'm done. Yeah.
You worked too well too. It's not like you were trying. It's like you did a good job as well.
I'll do a good job.
Wow.
With two people that the boss really liked. The other person is Hansen. Hansen is not doing his PhD in Belgium. He's a Ghanaian guy. He was part of what's interested in for the PhD in Belgium. Like it was Hansen and I, right? Like, they like Hansen too. I said, bro, our dreams are different, but thanks for the recommendation anyway. But they wanted to. And then the other Ghanaians there were like, bro, the boss likes you. So keep coming. Anytime they call you, keep coming. I have my dreams. I'm just trying to get experience.
But is it the Ghanaians or Africans really work hard? They are working better. But sometimes I don't understand the motivation. For you, you just tried it, but you did a good job. They do a good job because the work is too easy for them.
No, I think that Africans are generally hardworking. I don't think that it is easier to clean here or work here. I think it is even more difficult, right? Back home, we were using brooms and things to clean. Here, you're using a vacuum cleaner. But the white man is going to give you a very big place to clean. That is gonna come home like you'll be told, like you're gonna come home even more tired than you ever experienced back home. So you're using a vacuum cleaner, but you're going and coming for 8 hours. You are mopping, you are scrubbing, you are changing. It can give you like 5 minutes to change the bed sheets and clean. Like those who work in the housekeeping, maybe the hotel, this hotel room, you have 5 minutes to space. You're working under stress, pressure, right? So there are things to help you more and things like that. Man, these guys are gonna use you. They're gonna use you. So none of these 5 jobs that I mentioned is easy. None of them is easy. You can maybe say this one is better than this one because this one is outdoor, so maybe it's not good for the cold. This one is indoor. But when it comes to the stress, all of them, you're going to come home like you beat.
The new laws in Sweden, now they want to increase the minimum wage. I know you are a political scientist, and looking at this law, what do you think is the strategy for them to increase?
I think that it's also the result of the rise of populism in Europe and Western countries generally, as well as I think it comes along with the rise of anti-immigration sentiments, right? So we see that across Europe, even countries that were tolerant to refugees and migrants have started being intolerant towards them, right? And then it could be as a result of several things. In Sweden, for instance, the case has been crime where a lot of immigrants, especially refugees, are involved in crime, and it has caused nationalistic sentiment and anti-immigration sentiment. The problem I have with the Swedish government is that it is targeting the wrong people. So the sentiments are against people who come into Sweden, maybe through refugees or asylum, and then they are committing these crimes. It is not students. It is not people who are on work permit and things like that, right? But as a broad strategy to reduce the inflow of people, right? And they don't want to go against international humanitarian laws of blocking asylum seekers, right? Because in international law, if someone seeks asylum based on the fact that their lives have been threatened and things like that, you have to allow them in. But the easiest way they can control migration is to target some of us, right? And then make things difficult for us to stay. That is the strategy, right? That is a strategy. And yeah, unfortunately, it means that if you're coming into Sweden to study, you don't have to be too hopeful. You have to look within and out, right? So work as if Sweden will work for you. At the same time, work as if try looking at other opportunities. Try doing internships. If you go and do internship in a different European country, go and do it because it's going to help you broaden your network and things like that. Look at other countries after Sweden. You can apply for jobs and go and things like that.
All right.
And know that you can always go back to your home country and also do a very good job there also.
Yeah, that's an option. Okay, we digressed a bit to the politics. So let's go back. Do you have any examples of students who failed exams or had to go home because they didn't concentrate on education and they were just working?
Yeah, I do. I have a couple of friends who had to go back home. I wouldn't say they didn't focus on the school. Right? What I would say is that it depends on how you get to Sweden. Some people didn't have scholarships and they were told, go and work and study. So they get in and they realize that I have to pay school fees every semester. The amount that you have to pay every semester, you have to pay school fees of at least 40,000 Swedish crowns every semester, 50,000 Swedish crowns every semester. And there's no job that you can do 20 hours a week and get 50,000 in 4 months while going to school at the same time. Then you would have to work full time to be able to get that money. Right? So there's no way you can work and study and raise 50,000 in 4 months. So they try to balance it and it doesn't work. So they have to stop going to school because if you're going to school, you can't pay your school fees. Right? So you have to stop going to school and then work. And then when it gets to the point where they are renewing their Swedish residence permits, the migration agency refuses them because you are supposed to complete at least 30 credits before you can renew. And overall, if you want a work permit too, if the reason why you came was for a degree, then you have to show that you completed the degree, right, to get it. So these are things that some people are not able to meet because of how they came. So if you get like a full tuition waiver, it is okay. But if you think that you are coming to do everything from your pocket or you're coming to work it, then you risk being one of these dropouts and it can force you going back home.
When you look at the fees, is at least 50,000 per semester or per term. That is at least. Those who are doing the sciences, they are somewhere around 70,000. Those who are in the natural sciences. So if you are working to pay your fees, and how much is this accommodation to? Sometimes it's around 5,000, right?
For a student, so let's say a student who doesn't have a scholarship will rarely go for something at 5,000. Not have a scholarship, go for something between 3,500 to 4,000, or try to pitch with someone and everyone is paying like 3,000 crowns, right? So let's say 1,000 to 4,500. 4,500 is quite usual. I've seen a lot of students that help get accommodation and the rent was 4,500 crowns. But 5,500.
That's like $450, around $450.
If you bring it to dollars, I'll say $400. So I'll say something between, unless your parents have money. Yeah.
So this is the truth. Those who think that they can come to Sweden. Maybe they will get some money, borrow some money to pay their first semester, and then the rest they can work. It's not possible. But do you think it's possible in other countries though?
I think it's quite similar, right? Unless of course your goal is that, well, if it doesn't work for me, I'm still my first goal is to be able to end the country. And then I wouldn't, even if they say go back home, I wouldn't go. I'll stay and then find my way out. Unless of course your goal is not to study, or your goal is to study, but you feel like even if I drop out, I'm not leaving Canada. I'm not leaving. But I think that this scenario applies everywhere. It's not cool. It's not easy, right? You might think Canada, the same type of jobs that students are doing there. One addition to the jobs in Europe is elderly care. In Europe, because of the language barrier, students cannot really get those jobs, because if you can't speak Swedish, you can't take off a Swedish woman who is old, right? But in UK, US, Canada, you can do those jobs. So that is the addition to the 5 categories I gave. But regardless of what it's serious, then you might not be able to do the same thing at the same time, unless of course you have some assistantship taking care of some of the bills, right? And then you are taking care of the rest. But generally, some school in Sweden, every school is expensive. In Canada, you might get a school that is not too expensive. Then maybe you're gonna be very hot, but it might work, right? But I think that generally it's luck for you to be able to travel without any scholarship and pay all these school fees and pay everything out of pocket by working and studying and passing with very good grades at the same time. I think someone might be able to do that, but that is luck. Oh yeah,
But I think that maybe you have a support somewhere.
yeah.
You have it somewhere, because this is
Or maybe if you're not your friend's place, maybe someone will do.
you need support to be able to do that. Okay, let's move on to job, like after school, like when you finish schooling. How do you have the right to stay in Sweden after you have finished your master's in Sweden?
Yes, when you finish your master's in Sweden, you have 1 year to search for a job that gives you a permanent contract and is willing to sponsor you for a work permit. So you have 1 year to find that. And if you are able to find that, then you get to stay. If you are not, then you leave. That is, and it's similar in another country. I think in Belgium, I think in some countries 1 year, in some countries 2 years, some countries 6 months. In the US, it's 6 months. Yeah, so it varies like that. Yeah, all depends on getting a permanent contract. The goal is to get a permanent contract before you can stay in that period.
But that's a tough rule, like to be able to get a permanent contract in 6 months or
6 months, 1 year. But in the Swedish case, 1 year, yes. So like it's hard, especially with the language barrier. It's very, very easy to get something in your field of study, unless you did engineering, IT, or something very science related. It might be, if you did social science, if you did, these reading subjects like mine, it might be difficult for you to get in your field. So your best option is to go to the warehouse or the paper distribution companies. Food delivery, they don't give permits. Cleaning, cleaning. Some of them give permanent contracts, and some few restaurants also do. So this is where you might be able to find a job that will help you stay if you don't have a very pure STEM background. But if having a STEM background doesn't guarantee. There are a lot of guys who have STEM backgrounds, but having a STEM background at least gives you some. Other than that, you might end up in those jobs.
Sometimes they may even require some Swedish if it's in a situation where you have to interact a lot.
Absolutely. Like most companies that do not do things that are international oriented would require Swedish, right? It's just other companies. For example, I know someone who couldn't speak Swedish, but he got a job at AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca is international. And then there are some companies, who would give you that shot without Swedish, but mostly you would need Swedish. I have my friend who went to Belgium to do he almost got a job in Sweden from a very reputable company. But they told him that if he could speak just a little Swedish, they were going to give him the job. They were telling me that if it was me, like I would have gotten the job because the Swedish I speak is what the people wanted, but he couldn't speak it. But that's a background that I don't have. So
no, you can't even exchange. Anyway, So can you list some of the programs that if you study here? Because when you say reading, social, can you give just examples? Because I just want to give a complete picture or a big picture so that if you are in Sweden and you are studying a certain subject, you should already start your strategies of going to a place where you are more accepted.
I think we should be able to have this conversation with some care, in the sense that it might not be good to point out certain programs and say, this program, you don't have a chance. This program, you don't have. That might be wrong. Someone studies political science in Sweden, maybe like me, maybe the person got a job at the United Nations office in Copenhagen, in Denmark. Maybe someone got something in Stockholm that was policy related that I didn't probably look out for. Maybe someone did something sociology that gave the person an opportunity that I didn't get. No, so it might be wrong to point out a program and say, this program, we don't have a chance there. What I would say is that there are higher and there are lower chances, right? And then the higher chances is being in the STEM.
Yeah.
The STEM is not ambiguous: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. STEM. A low probability of getting something in your field, right?
What do you think is the reason?
The reason is that what the Swedish people told me is the Swedish economy is a service-oriented economy, right? It's a service-oriented economy. What Sweden doesn't have these natural resources and all those kind of things. They just provide services. And how can you provide a service to a population that you can't speak their language, right? When it comes to jobs, like assuming I was a data analyst and I couldn't speak Swedish, the company might still take me because when they give me, all that I'm doing is analyzing data for them. I'm not interacting with clients. I'm not even interacting with my other work colleagues. I just take the project that the company is working on and I do my job. And then we speak English when we go on break and all those kind of things. But when you are working in a non-STEM background, they are likely going to be interacting with clients. You guys will be going on conferences together and all those kind of things together. And they don't want to be translating everything because of you, right? Because of you, we have to speak English, we have to find an interpreter, so that is the reason that I think that, of course, sometimes they could make some exceptions, but they wouldn't, because they don't want you to change their culture, right? Change their culture. They don't want to take someone's culture and make it their own. They can add it, but they don't replace it.
Okay, I see. So if your job is in such a way that you'll be interacting with people, the language, but if you're not interacting with people and you're just working with computers and working with data. But I also have another hypothesis to this. I feel like maybe, just maybe, they don't have that number of people in the STEM, and they need more people in that area. So they have to maybe relax the rules a bit. What do you think about that?
That is not wrong. Like, the government actions in the past months support that hypothesis a bit, right? Because now there's a new permit in Sweden that you can come to Sweden and search for jobs for. We have 9 months to search for jobs. And the most to find people who can fill in the areas that is lacking, meaning that they need people in those areas as well. So you are absolutely right.
So they need more people up there, not down there. So everybody make sure they go up.
Yeah, they need more people up there, not down there. But even the up there is not, it's filled in the STEM is what they want, especially in listening.
Anyway, so that's my hypothesis. So the two of them hold. So if you are here in Sweden, just be watching and checking. Because I just have a friend, not in the STEM field, but she's a writer for another. So it's also international company, which is open to English speakers. She was lucky. She speaks English. They even like it like that. And she's a good writer. So
That's absolutely right. So I think that it speaks to my earlier restraint about saying that this field is out and it's out probability.
You're totally right. Yeah, that's true. My next question is, if you are not in the STEM and you are about to finish school or you're in school, what can you do? Is there any magic wand that you can apply whilst you are in school to position you a little bit, not too much only in
Yeah, absolutely. There is. It took me a couple of months after graduating to see that I need to upskill, right? And then I moved into studying data analytics, right? Which has really helped me, even though after data analytics, or even almost getting close to completion, I got a PhD and everything like that, right? But this whole data analytics thing is even motivating me to take my PhD in political science with a graduate minor in statistics. It's good to upskill if you are in, right? I think it's the easiest way to do it. So whatever you are doing, you can try and then learn something, right? if you find out that your job is not part of the category that you can have a higher probability of getting employment, then you can see how you can upskill. Maybe let me start learning web development online. Let me start learning Python, SQL. Let me start learning data analytics online. Let me start doing something on Coursera. Let me start doing something on maybe Harvard online courses. Let me do something that I can use to leverage in the job market. So it is absolutely possible to do that. And that is for those who want to do something great. Let's keep it open. If you think that all you want to do is to stay in Sweden, yeah, there's some warehouses that you can go and work at a warehouse for 6 months. And then after the 6 months, depending on the company, they'll give you a permanent contract. I must say that as I sit here right now, I have a contract in Sweden with a warehouse. I still have it every month. Payslip from them with an empty payslip. And like you guys said, so that if you think living in Sweden is all you want, you can find a very good, generous warehouse, and then if you there's like a contract.
There are courses that Google is rolling out. Some of them are free. Just learn to be a digital marketer. If you are a marketing student, you can go in that way. There are so many people who are also managing people's social media accounts. That job is a hot cake now. But there are many companies who have social media accounts and they need professionals, people who can write very good English to be able to explain what they do, to make some few like video content for them, advertise for them. So you have to ensure that whatever you are working on, you can diversify a bit. And what is amazing about it with this digital age, the information about anything is out there. It's on YouTube. You have Udemy, you have Udacity. So there are many things that you can do here. If you are serious, you would not have, you can't blame anybody or this child is distracting me. So if you are here, please start now looking at what else can you add to your skills that you can be marketable. Because the reason why you're going to school is to be employed, right? Afterwards, unless you want to start your own business. But if you look at the markets and you realize that I need to be fast about this, please go in for it. So now I want to talk about something about after you finish school and then you apply for the job search permit. How long does it take and how does it affect you?
So you finish your master's and then you apply for the job seeker permit. You should expect at least give yourself 6 months to get the job seeker permit. And then don't expect that after they give it to you, they're going to give you 1 year. So the 6 months you waited for the job seeker permit is going to be deducted from your 1 year. And they're just going to give you like a 6 months permit. So it's a 1 year, any day you wait is deducted from the 1 year. And you are given a permit for the period that is here. You give yourself like 6 months. And also how much you are marketable to employers, it depends on your permit. There were a lot of jobs that I applied for because they stated categorically, you should have a valid permit before you apply to this job. One, companies don't want to employ people who have a pending case at the Swedish Migration Agency, because if they employ you and you lose your case or your permit is denied at the Swedish Migration Agency, they have to advertise for the job again, and they don't want to do that. So companies want to employ people who already have a permit, right? They want to employ people who are settled, right? It affects you in that way. And another way that it affects you is that if you already have a permit and you're applying for a job, then you don't have to say that I will need help with getting a permit after I get this job. And even if you don't say it, if the company realizes that you don't have a valid permit to live in Sweden, you have a pending case, you are waiting for your residence permit for job search, they might think that is why you're applying for the job. So it takes a motivation that you really have for the job. They will think that you are applying for the job because you want a permit, and they will probably go for a Swedish person or so because they feel like that person is not using them. But if you already have your permit, then the employer wouldn't feel that way about you. So it's another challenge that really comes up, and then I'm sad that sometimes the Swedish Migration Agency or the Swedish government behaves like that, right? They want to give you 1 year to search for a job in Sweden, but they delay and don't give you the permit early. So you are not able to search for the job.
Yeah, it's really, I've also been through it. I've been through it a lot. And sometimes it's difficult to explain to somebody else.
Yeah.
You need a job. You said that apply for a job search permit. The permit is not in. You get to the job and then they say that you don't have a permit, so you cannot get. And then you need like a personal ID. And they say that if you want the personal ID, you should have a job. And the job people are also asking you for personal ID before they write your contract. Like it's a web. Wherever you go, it catches you somewhere. So
yeah,
expect your permits. The permit is not in. You're not giving you the job. Then you have to wait. When the job permit comes, the time is up for you to leave.
The annoying part of this whole thing is I sent the Swedish migration agency several emails that the delay in my case is affecting my ability to get a job. And they're like, the rule says that even if you have a pending case, you can still work, and bye-bye. But I was trying to tell you, I'm not getting the job in the first place because companies want people who already have a permit.
Yeah.
Already have a permit. But she was saying that you can still work if you have a pending case, but this shouldn't affect your job search. Bye-bye.
Who is making all these rules? And so do they mean that the companies don't know that when you have a pending case, you can get a job? Because it's like they have different information. But companies also have a rule that you should only employ somebody who has the right to work. Either you have a student permit or you have a work permit. It's like the two systems are not talking to each other.
Yeah, and then even with a company that doesn't have a strict rule about employing people, you are still legal if you have a pending case, right? So the fact is that what if you lose your case, then in the middle of the project, we have to go and employ a new person because you've been asked to go home.
I also have a point, yeah.
So the companies they don't know the outcome of your case. They don't know the supporting document that you've given to the migration agency. They don't know whether you're going to be successful or not. So they cannot start working with you after training you, then migration agency asks you to go home and they have to do to recruit again, right? So that is mostly the main reason why they wouldn't go for you. And the migration agency just doesn't get it, right? They just don't get it. They think that, the rule says that you can still work, so the company should employ you, right? But they will not employ someone in that position. Even if it was a job in the migration agency, they will never employ someone who has a pending case.
That's true. But also that another challenge that it brings to internationals is that you can't also travel. You can't go anywhere. If you have been to school for 2 years and you want to get some steam, you want to go home and then come back, but they say that your case is in the pending status. If you leave, you cannot come back.
Yeah, of course. I had a PhD interview in Belgium. I couldn't go because I didn't have a permit. And even though I did the interview online, but how can you compare yourself to those who were there physically, interacted with the panel, probably going to have a coffee break or lunch with them? And it affects you. You can't go anywhere if you have a pending.
We have talked a lot about very important things, and I think that we have already covered the questions that I had for you. So I'm just going to look through the chats and see what are some of the other questions. Someone's asking, did you try this dishes? I think you already answered, right? You tried it or not? That was the only one you tried.
This is the waitress. I didn't do that.
And then Mayqueen is asking, how did you find the jobs?
How did I find the jobs? Okay, that is a good question. Svensk GS Reclam for it's a job that they don't really advertise. They need people, but don't really advertise. But anyone who is into it, or the African community, if you tell the African community that you want a job, probably might be the first job that they recommend to you. And for me, I still have if you wanted to work with Svensk GS Reclam, I can send them and they'll copy you and then ask you to come to the office. So it's mostly by recommendation for that one. Foodora would mostly advertise. Let me see if I can get the website. Foodora will mostly advertise the job on their website, and then you can go and apply for Foodora. For VTD, they would also mostly advertise, but when you know someone who is in there, it's very easy. Sometimes they have this computer going through the applications and throwing some people's application away. So if someone who works there, it's very easy for them to say, just bring him to the office and then let's talk to him. Jolly Room, all the warehouse jobs, you have to apply online. So where did I find the jobs? Indeed, is one place that you can find warehouse jobs. You can find warehouse jobs at Glassdoor. And right now, there are a lot of recruiting companies employing people to the warehouse. You can find some manpower. So if you type manpower, True Logistics.
It's in the chat. You are putting it in the chat. And look at
lot of all these things, you find warehouse jobs there. Jolly Room themselves. One partner, I can be that mafia. One person, they didn't give me the contract. One partner, you can find a warehouse job there. Where they employ a lot of warehouse people, but I wouldn't recommend One Partner Group to you. They're not a good company. So you can find warehouse jobs all over these places. There are even more, right? That when I sit down to think, I can just, if you send me an email, I go.
Oh, yeah. And then, you have another question about whether you can get supermarket cashier jobs here. The language.
You Because I speak Swedish, you can't. When I went to the Netherlands, one thing that really surprised me was I wasn't the only person in Sweden. I never saw anyone who worked in the supermarket that couldn't speak Swedish, right? But when I went to the Netherlands, I couldn't speak Dutch, but I was working in the supermarket and I wasn't the only one. Even though we were not working as cashiers, right? Not working as cashiers, but we were working in the supermarket. I was in the bakery. Sometimes I'm part of those who are packing the vegetables and things like that. But we couldn't speak Dutch. But in Sweden, I don't think you can do a supermarket job without Swedish.
That's a supermarket, an international supermarket that is only
Unless it's even with this, unless if you're Ghanaian, maybe unless it's a Ghanaian, Alpha or
yeah.
the other lady as Kibi Berry who has opened the Ghana. But we don't have English speaking supermarkets in Sweden.
No, but like the private people, like the
Yeah.
African shop, I think that even the waitress and those ones, some of the restaurants, let's say it's a French restaurant, they'll like people who speak French to be able to interact. Something like
the Indian supermarkets and the Arab supermarket, those people, most of them can speak English. So this is the only way that they can work with you.
And that's also another challenge. If you can speak English, it makes it difficult for you to speak Swedish because everybody.
Yeah, so you're complacent.
And then James is asking, what are the prospects for getting a job in maritime?
I think the chances are good, right? Maritime, it depends on, I would say, the specific company in the maritime industry. Because sometimes some of the maritime stuff, as much as I understand, has some implications on national security, information. And sometimes people bring in immigrants into the state apparatus for you to work in state agencies and learn state secrets and things like that can also affect people. But when it's a private maritime company like Stena, is it Stena Line? The one at very good. So a company like Stena Line, you can get a job there. They operate mini ships from Gothenburg to Norway and things like that. And so if you have a maritime degree, it's good. Like you can get companies. And then Sweden has a lot of sea and rivers and things around it. So you have a good shot with those companies.
Yes, we are drawing our curtains now. It's been so wonderful.
I think you had this question about, is it compulsory to learn the language?
Yeah, since we've talked about so much, I thought maybe we can skip it, but we can talk. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it, right? I think that you should learn the language if you can, even though you might not end up in Sweden, but who knows, the language might be the reason why you get that good job.
Even if you can speak a little, the streets will be proud of you. Maybe we can give you a chance. Yeah. But let me tell you a story. I learned a little bit Swedish and then I was bragging a little bit to my email to the job givers that I can speak a little Swedish. So when I got to the job, they were interviewing me. They were asking me that should they do it in English or in Swedish? I said Swedish. They asked the first question that I didn't understand what they said.
Let's go back.
Then they said, okay, let's just take it in English. They was telling me, no, just don't allow them. But another thing was saying, humble.
Yeah.
Humble yourself. Let's do it. And then at the job.
Yeah, good, right? I've been embarrassed a couple of times with that. I was searching for a job I wasn't getting. I was searching for warehouse jobs I wasn't getting. And then I knew that if I changed my CV and cover letter to Swedish, I'll be able to get it. I was speaking Swedish, but I wasn't too good. It was very basic Swedish. And one of these friends helped me do my Swedish CV and everything. And I sent companies were calling me. And the moment they call you,
because if the street is English, they find it doesn't bring them to read.
No, you can speak it, right? So the companies were calling me. And the moment they call you, they are speaking Swedish. And if you say let's speak English, they'll say no, let's speak Swedish. One lady, some time ago, she asked me, "Bold your stance, right? Do you live somewhere?" But all that I've learned in SAP is Bagodu. So when the lady said bold your stance, I said, "What? What did you say?" Oh, she kept repeating herself, and I said, "Do you live somewhere?" That's how your studio. And then she said, "Okay, then let's go to English." And I knew that from that point, she was turned off.
Yeah.
So if we like the interview, we are going to call you, blah, blah, blah. She never did, right?
They're not going to call. They are very honest. They're not honest. They are very,
They can be nice with you.
They're very nice to you. But behind the scenes, it's not when you go for an interview and they are being nice, it doesn't mean that you've gotten the job. Any other way, they are very professional.
That's how they
take their niceness to mean that there's a time I went for an interview. I thought that when I thought that this job I've gotten it because they took me to the whole company, greeting people, shaking people's hands. So I feel like this job I've got it. I didn't know that. Sorry.
I don't know why they.
Who was small.
I've had the same experience. They take you to orientation and then later on they say you didn't give you the job. I think that was that gap, right? I went to an interview at the gap. Before the interview, they took me around and did all those kind of things, the same things with you. And we had the interview. One day I slept and I asked 3 missed calls. I said, okay. And I called back and the lady or the HR. And then she said that we were calling you to tell you that we didn't give you the job. And I said, man, you should have just sent me an email. Why are you calling me times just to tell me you didn't give me the job? Like, I just sent me an email.
They paid them to call someone to ask, to tell them that to spoil your.
Yes, I was sleeping. You also spoiled my sleep. Yes, but yeah. So that is it. That we've been able to deal with the topic enough. I'm confident about that, and there are no more questions. Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to talk about that?
So what I was saying is that 2 years ago, I told you that I wanted to do my PhD, and I even forgot that I said it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I even forgot I said it years ago. So it's amazing that I'm hearing it now that in a similar program as this,
Yeah.
something that I wanted to do on all the dream come. You have to aim high. There are a lot of people, there are a lot of Africans out there who will be giving you, I don't want to call it bad advice, but it's not good advice. The reason why it's difficult to categorize whether it is good advice or bad advice is that because they don't mean to harm you, right? They want to help you stay. They want to help you settle in Sweden or anywhere you find yourself. So they will tell you to do the easy things that can help you stay. But these are the things that make you sell your dream, right? When I went to do the cleaning, the boss liked me. They called me to come back to clean. One of the team leaders, 2 of the team leaders in the cleaning camp, in the cleaning tent were Ghanaians. 2 team leaders were Ghanaians. They were calling me to come and work. They wanted to help me. It's not like they hate me. They like you to help me. They want to help me stay in Sweden. But they are helping me kill my dreams indirectly, right? If I went into that cleaning, just imagine I'm going to clean for the rest of my life or what? Like, how many years am I going to clean? And then after you clean for a couple of years, your CV is messed up and then you can't come back to professional life again. And that is all, right? Some of the advice you're going to be receiving as an international student is going to come from your own people who mean bad, right? That is how they got there. Some of them didn't come to do their masters. They got in through some means and they hustled hard to get where they are. Some came to do their masters. They've compromised and they are doing those menial jobs and they've been able to bring their wives and children and they're okay, but maybe they are not okay. You wake up at 4:30. I wake up at 4:30. I have a spark. I get home almost 6 o'clock. Like you come back tired. I'm in pain and everything like that. So they are not okay. But they've gotten their Swedish people. So they'll give you that same advice, not because they hate you or something. Right?
Yeah.
That advice might not be what you want. At the end of the day, you ask yourself, what about what I told my mom, what I told my dad? Mama, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be everything goes down the drain, right? So be careful what you listen to. Listen to those advice. Do those jobs for the start because what are you going to do? You need money, but aim for something.
Have a plan. Have an exit plan.
Yeah, exactly. British people themselves do not demean job. In the West over here, regardless of the job you are doing, you can get a very fresh girl, nice guy, and all those kind of, you make some money, you can be going out, you can even go on a vacation. If you do cleaning, you can go on a vacation every year if you want, right? It's not like cleaning in Ghana that you can afford this. Yeah, you can afford all those. So the people don't discriminate against those jobs, right? And if it is your talent, right? If it's your talent, you can do it. But you just have to ask yourself, say, how many years can I do this? Can you do this job to 60, to 60? Or you're going to move from cleaning to warehouse to newspaper? How long can you stay in this industry? There are certain people like 80 years and over, they are still doctors. Even after retiring, they have knowledge to the extent that private hospitals are employing them to come and just consult and things like that. So there are certain fields, even after you retire, you can be a consultant for someone, but can you be doing these jobs at age 80 and things like that, right? Look at professors, lecturers. Someone is a lecturer, so even after retiring from the university, you can have these private research institutes that engage with time researchers, they get funding.
Aim high.
Yeah, they don't make it honorable, but they don't make it dishonorable. It is just, they accept everyone. That's, you have to look at how long you can do this job for, and then you look for change.
Thank you. May Queen and Jeff, you have been with us from beginning to the end. Thank you very much.